Hello, everybody. We are back at Turning Point USA. I'm Josh Bernstein, contributing for TotalNewsNation.com. And we are sitting here with Owen Anderson, a professor at Arizona State University. And he has some interesting things to talk about, including why he's suing Arizona State University. Owen, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
And I can't wait to hear this story.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here and talk with you because I think we have a lot in common. And what happened was I was asked to take required employee training that teaches the problems of whiteness and, and heteronormativity. And so I objected and said that these are wrong. It actually violates Arizona law, which prohibits the state universities from teaching race blame.
Yes.
And that should be obvious, right? Because the reverse of that would be blaming maybe a minority group and saying those are bad people.
Right. Exactly.
But now they've flipped it and they say, well, the bad people are the white people. And so I said, well, this violates the law, and I'm represented by the Goldwater Institute.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a good.
So it's very good. So the first thing ASU did was they said Anderson doesn't have standing, and they asked the judge to throw the case out. And the look you just gave me is what the Goldwater lawyers did too.
Of course,
and,
you have standing,
and the judge
you're a
did
professor.
Exactly. And the judge said the same thing to ASU's lawyers. How does he not have standing? So we got an amicus brief from the two legislators that wrote the law. And they both said, Anderson's the guy we were thinking of, someone like him, to bring this kind of case. So the judge got back to us on Monday and said, yes, you can go to court over this. So we're going to go ahead into the next step of the court case, which I'm excited about because so far what ASU has done is their media person has said, we don't even have this required training. It's kind of like the Jedi trick, like there is no training here, and we have screenshots. It clearly exists. So now in court they'll be under oath, and so it'll be a whole different situation.
Gotcha. When is the court date?
We don't have that yet because ASU gets 10 days to respond, so we got to wait to see how they respond.
So let me ask you: is this also part of HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, which is a insidious left-leaning organization that goes around and pressures small businesses, but also even educational institutions to adapt this crazy DEI principles?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a direct connection, but here's the thing is, I don't think the ASU professors need to be coerced to teach this stuff. Like they believe these things are true. I think
which is sad.
If we had to identify it philosophically, what they're doing is they're teaching conflict theory, which comes out of Marxism, and it says that all of human history is to be understood as conflict between political groups or economic groups, and now especially they focus on racial groups and sexual identity groups. And so what it does is it teaches hatred, because they teach, if you're sitting in class and you're lecturing, the professor's lecturing that your life has been made miserable by white people, and you look next to you, and then next to you, and those are white people next to you. Yeah. Well, now the ASU students hate each other, right? So it's the opposite of what ASU should want to be teaching. But I started a Substack, which is Dr. Owen Anderson on Substack, to document these things, because when I tell parents about this, every conservative knows universities are liberal. That's not a surprise.
Yeah, right.
But when I tell them this stuff, they say, this is nuts. I can't believe how bad it is. So I use on my Substack, I just document it so people can see what's going on.
It's amazing that, even going back to the 1960s, right? Berkeley and everything else. What was it all about? It was about freedom of speech on college campuses. And now, God forbid, you have a different opinion other than the left-leaning narrative.
Isn't that strange?
Throw you out. It's so crazy. It's a 180.
It is. And
it's a 180.
It's weird that the conservative Christian guy is the one who wants all views to debate.
Problem, right? Not the radical with pink hair and nose rings.
Well, but also just that I'm the guy who wants a classical university where we argue, everyone argues, and it's the so-called liberals who are saying, no, we can't do that. It offends some people.
Now, you're a tenured professor?
Yep.
Okay, now, were you let go? Were you fired?
No, I haven't been fired.
Okay, good.
I have some protections, but I've had false accusations leveled against me in this process. And so what I generally do is make those public also, so people can see this is the kind of tricks that colleagues will be up to. But what did happen, there was a kind of retribution, because I teach Introduction to Christianity
That's
class.
what I was going to ask. What was your
and so
subject?
This is a regular class I've taught for 20 years. It's not anything controversial. But this year, I was told that in order to teach the class, I need to take out the Old Testament, because I spent some time in the Old Testament, and put in more information about slavery and colonialism.
Well, if you have to do that, are you going to put in the fact that black slaves were black slave owners.
Well, there were, yeah, and also that the anti-slave movement was a Christian movement.
Yep.
Right? It was Christianity and Western civilization that gave the world its first slave-free civilization. So, no, but I told them I'm not going to make those changes. And so what happened was my class got dropped from the schedule. I got reassigned a different class. But
What is
they don't
going on
want
at
they don't want
ASU,
me to
man?
teach Introduction to Christianity. And the way I teach is not controversial. I go through
Right.
the Bible, which
Sure.
includes the Old Testament,
Yeah.
and then I go through church history. And that's it.
Yeah.
But I don't get into, in the modern world, we of course talk about colonialism and slavery, but it's not like going to be how I define Christians.
Gotcha.
Which is how the modern university teaches Christianity.
Isn't it sad that politics has gotten to the point that a tenured professor at a pretty prestigious college can't even teach what he's an expert at teaching without having some type of issue with the school or the students or because of what they've been taught and all the garbage that they've been taught?
Yep.
It's really, really sad.
Yep.
And, look, Charlie always says, right, the college scam.
Yeah.
And I understand you're a professor, so you make money, being a professor. But
Not
you're
a
also
lot,
doing
not
it
a lot of money.
But the difference is that you're actually doing it because you want to educate these kids.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that they have what they need to know knowledge-wise moving forward for the rest of their lives.
Well, exactly,
And even
right.
because you want to do that, you're ridiculed or you're singled out for that. It's just insane.
It really is. And,
really
and I
is.
think Charlie's right. And I know I have colleagues who say, how can you be supporting these things? Because you, Owen, and all the rest of us will be out of jobs. But if the job is to indoctrinate students, I don't want that job.
Exactly.
What we're supposed to do in philosophy is teach them the big questions and then teach them what have the great thinkers said about those, and then let's argue together about it. And if it comes down to, no, we're just going to teach Marx and Kinsey and John Money and Foucault, that's not doing humanities anymore. And
No,
so then
it's not.
Charlie's right. But it's not that Charlie has convinced students to go away from the university. It's that the professors did.
Yeah, and the professors are the issue because the professors like to teach these kids. Look, if you think about the whole entire school system, I mean, we're taught about socialism as little kids. Share with little Johnny, share with little Sally, right? Participation trophies, right? Good, better,
Yeah,
and
right.
best. What, no one can have a first place or a second place? Now it's good, better, and best? There were schools
Yeah.
in Florida that changed the grading system from A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
E, and F to good, better, and best. Everyone
Even
passes.
that's a little bit best. Come on.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And this is the indoctrination. So we need to, I hate to say it, but we need to shut down a lot of these colleges and defund the ones that are teaching this garbage so that only the ones that are left are going to be the ones that are not going to indoctrinate.
Well, and I think one way that'll happen is that parents are now saying, wait a minute, what is going on here? It happened
Right.
with COVID and K through 12 when parents started seeing what was being taught. I had a student, my kids were at home because of that, and I saw their history teacher teaching out of his home. He had a big statue of Buddha behind him. Now, I don't mind that. I teach world religions, so that's not the issue. But I just knew that if it was a cross behind him, he would have taken it down or been told to take
Right.
it down. But he can have a big statue of Buddha. And I know a lot of parents had similar situations, but now those kids are getting older and they're thinking about college. Those same parents need to know what's being taught because the colleges are saying to you, we want 60 grand and 4 years of your
Yeah.
child's life,
Yeah.
and then we'll hand them back to you having been taught that if they have any mental health issues, it's because they're in the wrong body.
It's so crazy.
Can
It
you
is
imagine
crazy.
paying 60 grand for that?
No, honestly, no, I couldn't. Look, I didn't go to college and graduate college. I went to a community college
Yeah.
and I got about 2 years in, and then I started working and doing broadcasting and all
Yeah,
kinds
great.
of other things. But I never actually went through the entire indoctrination.
Yeah.
I'm an 80s baby, a Reagan baby. And so we didn't have these types of issues.
Yeah, back
really.
then college was still anti-establishment. You
Yeah.
could still have college humor.
Yeah.
The Simpsons was originally college
Right.
humor.
Right.
You're making fun of this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And now you're not allowed to have any humor or poke fun at stuff because you'll offend somebody. But yeah, I think that parents are the ones who will defund it in a sense because it is hard to defund universities because they offer a lot of things like engineering, medicine.
Yeah.
And the humanities don't get a lot of money because they don't need a lot of money. So it's hard to target that. But what will target it is parents saying, my kid's not
Enough is
taking that
enough.
class. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Your name was
Owen Anderson, yeah.
Owen Anderson. Owen, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, same
speaking
here.
with
I'm really
you
glad to
and,
meet you. Mm-hmm.
and getting a chance to talk to you a little bit. Where can folks go to learn about you and some of the things that are going on and the the lawsuit. Maybe they can
Yeah.
help or support you.
Yeah, so my name's Dr. Owen Anderson, and you can go to Twitter and find me. You'll see my picture with Dr. Owen Anderson, or on Substack, which I think you'll enjoy my Substack because it's almost a comedy page itself. You'll think these aren't
Gotcha.
real, but these are real events at ASU.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
I wish you nothing but the best of luck
thanks.
in that lawsuit. I really hope that
appreciate it. I'll keep you
it
updated.
becomes the catalyst for other
I hope so,
professors
yeah.
to say, hey, you know what? We're done.
Yep.
We're fighting back.
That's my hope. Is
God
I'm
bless
kind
you.
of the Marines landing, and let's all of us go in after that.
God bless.
Thanks a
All
lot.
right.